Starting with the next important topic, that is asphyxia. Asphyxia basically it's a Greek word, a being absence, asphyxia being absence of life. But when we discuss in forensic medicine, it means mechanical interference through the process of respiration. Normally, asphyxia has a wider range, starting from environmental level to tissue level. Environmental asphyxia, blocking the airways, oxygen carrying capacity of the blood, or determining the utility of oxygen at a cell level. But in forensic medicine, the main concern is the mechanical interference to the process of respiration, that is asphyxia. And it is approximately 5% of all unnatural deaths, which is a quite alarming number. When we define, it is the condition in which the supply of oxygen to the blood and hence to the tissues is reduced below the normal physiological level, and it is achieved by the interference to the process of respiration. So reduction of oxygen in the blood and eventually to the tissues when there is interference to the process of respiration, that is asphyxia. And we are mainly concerned with mechanical interference. And this can be at any level, starting from the deficient oxygen in the atmosphere. For example, when there are irrespirable gases, entry of a person into space where there are gases which are irrespirable. Gases are there, but irrespirable means those gases which are not beneficial for the human body, which are not utilized by the tissues. So those are the irrespirable gases. They are like the war gases, sewer gases, carbon monoxide. So these are those gases which are labeled as irrespirable gases. Then to the level where there is the utilization at the tissue level, starting from the environment to the utilization at the tissue level, that is asphyxia. And when we classify it, it is mechanical interference, then that is mechanical asphyxia, environmental asphyxia, pathological asphyxia, toxicological asphyxia, and the certain poisons which interfere with the utilization of the oxygen. Environmental, that is the environment contains the irrespirable gases. Hydrogen, that is the when we anesthetize a patient hydrogenically in the medical treatment, that we induce asphyxia. These are the main types: mechanical, pathological, toxicological, environmental, and hydrogenic. Mechanical, that is the mechanical interference through the process of respiration. And this can be achieved by the occlusion from the outside, or it can be occlusion from within. Occlusion from outside, the level can be at the respiratory orifices, mouth and nose, or these are the processes in which they are blocked either by the smoothing or by the overlaying, and they are called as suffocation. That is the obstruction of the external respiratory orifice. And you know that only these are the orifices from where the air can enter. Then the obstruction at the level of the neck. This may be either by hanging or by strangulation. Hanging is the constriction of neck where the weight of the body acts as constricting force. And in strangulation, it is tying up rope by another person and applying the constricting force. Then the level of chest, that the movement of chest is blocked, either in stampede, बहुत ज़्यादा लोगों का rush होता है, they are pressing each other and the chest is unable to move, or the falling debris, building area और कोई बल्कि सामान heavy उसके ऊपर chest के ऊपर गिर गया, chest is unable to move, so that is traumatic asphyxia, obstruction at the level of chest. Then there is special type we discuss, autoerotic. Basically this is a psychological problem in the person who try to achieve the sexual gratification by inducing asphyxia. We'll discuss in detail in the next lectures. Then occlusion from within, something enters into the respiratory tract, and that can be gagging. Gag is something is pushed in. That can be a piece of cloth, that can be a handkerchief or anything which is stuffed into the mouth, that is gagging. Or choking. Accidentally something, food particle or any other material enters into the respiratory tract and the person gets choked. Drowning. Drowning is another form of asphyxia in which the respiratory passages they are replaced with water. So water is not required for the respiration, and this is classed in the asphyxia. Then the obstruction at the level of neck can be ligature strangulation, manual throttle, manually pressing the neck, and this ligature strangulation can be carotid. Carotid is suddenly throwing up rope from behind and tying it. Suddenly throwing up rope from behind and tying it, that is carotid. And throttling is either by means of feint or by means of sting. Mugging, pressing the neck in the elbow or in the bend of the knee. Usually in the wrestling, you might have seen the pressing the neck in the arm or in the bend of the knee, that is mugging. And the Barnes Tola. This is after the name of bamboo Barnes. It was usually happening in Bengal, where they used to tie two sticks of bamboo, one in front of the neck, another at the back. They tie both the string and throw the person, and the person gets strangulated. After the name of Barnes, it is called as Barnes Tola. Now we should understand these terms: anoxia, asphyxia, and hypoxia. Anoxia, as it is self-explanatory, AV absence, that is complete absence of oxygen. Hypo, reduced, that is the reduced quantity of oxygen. And asphyxia, I have explained that this is specifically when there is mechanical interference to the process of respiration. So anoxia is complete absence of oxygen, hypoxia is a reduced quantity of oxygen, and asphyxia is the interference with the process of respiration. The causes can, they may be either that there is no oxygen in the atmosphere. That will lead to environmental asphyxia. Blocked airway, that will lead to asphyxia. Diseased lungs, that will interfere with the transport of oxygen from the lung through the blood, and there is hystotoxic or other types of asphyxia. Then deficient pulmonary or systemic circulation, that is, with the flow of the blood, the oxygen is carried to the tissues, and in reduced quantity of blood, oxygen carrying capacity of the blood is reduced, and that will lead to hypoxia or anoxia, whatever the type. Then the defective red cells who interfere with the transportation and the tissue poison, certain poison which act at the metabolic process of the cells and causes hypoxia or anoxia. Now coming to the type of hypoxia, either it may be hypoxic hypoxia or anemic hypoxia, stagnant and hystotoxic. These are all those terms which I have discussed in the previous slides. Hypoxia, reduced supply. Anemic, complete absence. And stagnant, interference with the flow of blood. And hystotoxic at the level of cellular metabolism. These are other types that either the interference is at the cellular membrane level, like in cyanide poisoning, pericellular level, this is the aesthetics. These are various types. And the substrate, when there is, because in the process of metabolism, the oxygen and glucose both are required. And if there is hypoglycemia, and also interference with the process of metabolism. And the metabolic, when there is accumulation of the substrates like uremia or the accumulation of carbon dioxide, that is metabolic hystotoxic. So what happens actually in asphyxia? What is the altered physiology that causes asphyxia? And this has been studied by experiments of two scientists, Swan and the Lucid. They studied it on animals, the dogs. They induced mechanical asphyxia by the induction of various mixture of gases, various composition of gases. Carbon dioxide in various concentration, oxygen in various concentration, and combination of various other gases. And they found out that besides whatever the variation of nature is, the process of altered physiology remains the same. The biochemical change which occur with the altered physiology, they remain the same. Unconsciousness, it is seen within 1 minute. And then the animal entered into various stages, and the most important, there are 3 stages of asphyxia during which the physiology was altered. The first is the inspiratory state. Initially, when there is hypoxia, there are efforts to breathe in. All the efforts, the muscles, they are efforting for breathing in. And in the second stage, expiratory dyspnea, the efforts to breathe out. Initially, they want to get the oxygen in, but in the second stage, they want to get rid of the carbon dioxide which has been accumulated. So, in the first stage, when there is inspiratory dyspnea, there are efforts to breathe in, and in second stage there are efforts to breathe out, and in this stage the convulsions also start, and that is because of the irritation of reduced oxygen and irritation of the CNS or the cerebrum. Then terminally the respiratory paralysis, that is the respiratory center becomes paralyzed and the respiration is labored, consciousness is cloudy, person becomes sighing or gasping. This is the third stage. We will discuss each. In inspiratory dyspnea, as I told, there are efforts to breathe in, and this is basically called as forced respiration. Breathing in efforts are increased, and stimulation of respiratory center leads to a picture which is there is increased rate of respiration, and the oxygen saturation in blood is reducing, and it will lead to stimulation of the respiratory center. And in this state, the breathing will be rapid, labored, and the extra muscles of breathing, they come into place. And it is visible the person is making effort to breathe in. Blood pressure rises and the pulse becomes rapid, and the person is restless, anxious, feeling of heaviness in the head and ringing sensation in the ears. These are all the subjective finding. The face, hands and the fingernail, they appear cyanotic. They appear blue because of the accumulation of reduced oxygen. Then the next stage comes the expiratory dyspnea, and in this stage there are efforts to breathe out. All the carbon dioxide has been accumulated, and the person wants to get rid of it. And all the efforts they are to breathe out, and in this stage predominantly there is also skin perfusion. And this is because of the cerebral irritation. And the picture is more deepened, cyanosis is deepened, there is increased in the blood pressure, loss of consciousness, convulsion, constriction of pupil, there are all signs of irritation. And the expiratory type of breathing is seen. Efforts are breathed out, clouding of consciousness, and the convulsions, and sphincters get relaxed, and there is incontinence of urinary space. The face becomes deeply cyanosed and congested. The tongue may be protruded, it may be bitter, the eyeballs prominent, they are all because of the increased concentration of carbon dioxide, which leads to expiratory dyspnea. Finally, there are cadaveric spasms. Cadaveric spasm is the contraction of a group of muscles, as we see in drowning, the person falling down, mountain fatalities, and get hold of something, and the fist, it remains contracted, clenched, and that is known as cadaveric spasm. And it is the basically record of last emotional activity. This is the antemortem phenomenon. This is not related with rigor mortis or any other rigidity, but this is the last emotional activity. Drowning and one aspect of that there is. Then terminally respiratory paralysis. The center is paralyzed, complete loss of consciousness, and the respiration will become infrequent, shallow, and the gasping type, nominally the blood pressure will fall and pulse will be imperceptible. Muscle will be flaccid, reflexes will be lost, pupil will be non-dilated, and there is terminal problem. And this is important. The heart may continue to beat for 10 to 15 minutes even after the cessation of the respiration. And the recovery from this stage is not possible. Now, what biochemical change occurs in this space? We know there is a reduction in the oxygen concentration, a rise in the carbon dioxide level, there is lowering of pHs, which is shifting toward the acidic side. The blood sugar level rise, and the potassium and sodium they move across the cell membrane, and they are redistributed. So these are the biochemical changes which are because of the reduction in the oxygen and accumulation of carbon dioxide, which will lead to excitation of the metabolic process and release of adrenaline. That's why the blood sugar level is rising and exchange of sodium and potassium is happening. And there will be release of the free radicals. When this type of metabolism is going on in anaerobic conditions, there will be release of free radicals, and that will be responsible for the death of the cells. Now, what altered histology? So these change in the physiological process, change in the biochemistry will lead to altered histology that and we'll see the congestion and cyanosis, edema, petechial hemorrhage. These are minute pinpoint hemorrhages which are specifically seen in asphyxia. Then the blood remains in fluid form. This is also specific to asphyxia because of release of fibrinolysin from the capillaries. Because of anoxia, blood in asphyxia remains in fluid form. It does not coagulate. So these histopathological changes are as a result of falling oxygen concentration. And the nerve cells, they are the most susceptible. They are first to die. Now regarding congestion and cyanosis, this is because of capillovenous engorgement. There is dilatation of the small blood vessels. They are engorged, and that will be showing congestion and cyanosis. Congestion in the small blood vessels, they are engorged. In the blood vessels, they become prominent, and there is cyanosis. Then edema, because of this anoxia, the cementum between the endothelial cells becomes loose. And the fluid from the vessel they exude out, and that will lead to edema. And this will be causing not only the accumulation of fluid in the lungs, but also all the tissue spaces. And you can manifest it. Then the petechial hemorrhages, because of the increased pressure in small capillaries, they rupture. And they are called as petechial hemorrhages. Small pinpoint to pinhead sized hemorrhages, which are usually seen on the less supported surfaces, serosal surfaces of the skin. And these petechial hemorrhages is the pathology of asphyxia. They also appear in other diseases, but predominantly they are in asphyxia. Now regarding the blood in fluid form, it is from release of endothelium, fibrinolysis compared to. Now whatever is the reason, but the main cause of asphyxia will be either the obstruction to the respiratory tract or occlusion of the blood vessels. So two main causes remain. That is, either it will be respiratory obstruction or it will be circulatory failure. So in both these conditions, there is a reduction in oxygen and increase in the dark blood cell. And how we can come to know that the main process which was responsible was obstruction of the airway or the circulatory arrest? We will analyze the blood, and if it is showing the concentration of concentration of oxygen more than 25 millimeter of mercury, that means the process of respiration was on, but it was only circulatory failure. And if it is less than 25 millimeter, that means the circulation was on, but the process of respiration because of the respiratory obstruction was there. So whatever the process, a vicious cycle is set, which will lead to reduced blood supply to the tissue, leading to anoxia, capillary edema, petechial hemorrhages, and the further reduction in the blood volume and reduced blood. Then this will be leading to reduced in the volume of blood, stasis, edema, congestion, and petechial. So this is the whole pathology which will be set up in a vicious cycle. Now the signs, these pathological changes, they appear as signs, and these signs are either the specific sign. Specific means specific to the cause. That is, if there is interference at the mouth and nose, there will be pathology around the external orifice. If there is obstruction to the neck, then the specific sign will be around the neck. So specific signs upon the cause, and non-specific, which are because of the altered pathology. So specific sign at the locus where the interference of respiration is being made, and non-specific cyanosis, congestion, edema, petechial hemorrhages, and fluid. These are non-specific signs which appear in all forms of asphyxia. But the specific sign, the locus where the interference with the process of respiration is being made. Cyanosis is when there is reduced oxygen level and the reduced hemoglobin is more than 5 grams per cent, then it is visible. And it can be seen on the tips, on the terminal points, like the nails, on the tongue, and on the tip of the nose. The terminal tips are showing the cyanosis. This is the reason we have discussed it. The limitation is that the postpartum oxidative process can lead to disappearance of the cyanosis. So we should examine the body immediately when we receive it, because after 24 hours, this cyanosis can be disappeared. Then the increased capillary permeability will lead to edema because of the loxia, the substrate between the endothelial cells become damaged, the fluid will be exuded out. So we should weigh each organ to know the amount of edema. There is a limitation, it can be redistributed after that. So most important examination immediately when we receive the organ. Then the congestion because of the loxia, there is vasodilation, small blood vessels, they are engorged. Thirdly, we have discussed it, that is because of the release of fibrinolysin from the endothelial cells because of the loxia, and that is responsible for the purity of the blood. And same pulmonary edema, that the fluid is exuded out into the pulmonary spaces and the lung they become engorged and heavier in all types of asphyxia. Then the petechial averages, they are small pinpoint to pinhead size average. They are also called as cardiospots. Petechial averages, cardiospots is the same. They are small pinpoint to pinhead size averages because of the increased pressure in the small capillaries and on the less supported surfaces, that in the serosa and the skin, they become very visible. Small pinpoint averages. Inside the bones. The lung surface and the heart. You can see the small reddish patches. And this is because of increased intracapillary pressure because of the obstruction, and they are usually above the level of constriction. If the constriction is at the level of neck, they will be more prominent on the face. If the pressure is on the chest, they will be above the level of compression. Instantly, the pressure is on the chest, and the congestion, cyanosis, and petechial averages, they are above the level of pressure.